All right, guys. Now that we have our collections overview, let's actually put it in a route. So what we'll do is import route from React Router DOM. And instead of just rendering our component like this, let's render a route where the component goes to our collection overview. And what we'll say is when the exact path is equal to, and now what we want is to actually display the current path that we're on, right? Because our shop page is also a routed component. Now, in order to do this, what we have to do, instead of destructuring collections, which we actually should have removed, accidentally this is still there, we know that we have access to the match object because inside of our app.js, our shop page is being nested in a route, and route automatically passes those three objects into our component as props. We get match, location, and history. And we want match because we want to display, and here we're going to use string interpolation, match.path. And let's just log it to see what match.path actually gives us back. So let's return this, and let's console log match. So we see that path is on /shop, right? And we want this because we want to know what's the current path that we're matching so we get to our shop page. And we want the shop page path because we got to build our routes off of this one, right? And we don't actually know where our shop page is currently. Our shop page only cares that the next path, which is /category, will be after wherever it's currently placed on the path. Now, what does that mean? Well, before we actually do that, let's actually build our collection page. So what we need is to build the actual page component. So inside of our pages, we need a new folder called category. And inside, we will have our category.component.jsx, as well as category.styles.sass. And what we need in our category page, we got to import React from React. And then we need to import in our style sheet. Now, as we remember from our final application, it's going to look remarkably similar to our collections overview. We're just going to use the same collection item. We also got to pull in our respective shop item category, right? So let's actually do that now. So what we'll do is we'll import in collection item, which is our component that displays our items. And then we're going to set our const category page equals a component that renders out a div. And inside that div, we have a class name of category. And then we'll have our h2, and we'll just say category page for now. And let's export this out. Let's import this into our shop component. Now, I mentioned earlier that we need to nest our route. So what does that mean? Well, this is actually going to be interesting because what we want is our collection to dynamically pluck off the right category from our reducer so that it knows which ones to display when you're on the right page, right? Because when you're on the hats, you want all the hats. We don't want all of the other items like for jackets and men's and sneakers and women's. We don't want any of that. We just want the ones related to the category you're on. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to tell our route that the route name is going to be a parameter. So you see how it says /hats or /jackets? Well, we want to actually be able to access the string that's in our URL so we can use it to determine which item we want to fetch. And this is going to be a little bit different from how we're typically used to writing. So here's how it'll go. We're going to say path equals, right? And then we're going to use string interpolation again because we want our match.path, right? So we want to say we don't really know what route we're on up until this point, right? That our shop page could be. We know that we've coded it so that our app.js is /shop that takes us to shop page. But in reality, if we moved it around, we don't want to have our shop page, like let's say we hard coded in, for example, /shop. We don't want to do that because then we'd have to manually think about where our shop page is. And our shop page doesn't need to be aware of what route it's actually on. And that's how we circumvent it with match.path. And now we can chain on it. Using colon, we say category ID. And what this does is it actually allows us to access this category ID as a parameter on the match object when we're inside of our category page. So I'll show you that actually. And this is actually what makes it really cool and really easy for us to do this. So we know that we're going to our category page. And then inside of our category page component, we know we have access to match because, again, matches. Route is what our category page is being put into, right? A route component, which gives us access to our match object. And now, if we were to log match, we will see that when we go to /hats, right? Here we see that we get this object. That's what we're logging, our match. And you see inside this params, we actually get the category ID, which is the string that we're currently on our URL from. And this is super handy because if we want URL parameters that are dynamic inside of our URL, we would just do it like this with this colon, as we saw when we wrote our path inside of our route. And this gives us access in the parameter, and we're telling React Router DOM that this route we want it to have parameters, right? And that's the parameter that we want to link to. So now what we can do is we can actually pull that off of match.params.category ID, right? Which is what we called it. And then using this parameter, we can then pass it into our selector. But I'll show you how to do that in the next lesson.